to our very special episode, Halloween episode of Tagged, episode 13, thanks to Victoria, every bit different. It's a scary episode we have today, and unfortunately we are without our co-host Sarah Hosking, who has unfortunately done a hammy at the weekend, but we have a replacement in Kate McCarthy, who is here with us today. Thank you, Kate, for coming, and welcome. You've had a very busy schedule the last couple of weeks. How have you been finding it all?
Yeah, Rowe, it's great to be here. Don't normally get into the Halloween spirit, but have done it just for you because I do appreciate you.
So should we clarify who we are? Like, yes. I'm Barbie, obviously.
Yeah,
and you are.
I thought,
so I'm going to step into
I thought maybe you'd gone a week early and you thought it was Mad Monday already, but Rowe, you have got a game left.
That is the scary thought, is that there's only one round of AFLW left.
Yep, and I am the devil, I suppose.
Yes.
So
we do need the angel and the devil.
Yes, but yeah, it's great to be here. Things have been very busy. Just obviously doing a whole lot of coverage for AFLW, which has been fantastic, and it's been a great season. It's been a really good season. There is 1 week to go and there is still so much on the line, which we will get into in a little bit. But yeah, the season is very much still alive for many, many teams. Unfortunately, Rowe, the Pies aren't one of them, but we'll get into your season and reflect on that in a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's been a great season so far, and for many reasons, and obviously because it's Halloween, I think we should talk about the scary side of AFLW. I believe you have a very scary story in terms of an injury that you had, and you can talk to it. It involves one of the Hosking sisters.
Yeah, well, I mean, when people do get injured on the field, a lot of the times it does seem to involve the Hosking sisters.
Always.
They are brutal.
Go hard or go home.
That's it, yes. So it wasn't our beloved Sarah Hosking. It was her sister Jess, and it was against Carlton in 2019. I was playing for the Lions then, and at Icon Park, and Jess had the ball at the top of 50 and I went to tackle her, and she ended up complete accident, absolutely nothing in it, headbutting me right in the nose. And my nose was literally sort of like almost off my face at this point. It was at right angles. It was not good. Stayed down for a long time, and then the doctor came out to me, and he ended up having to straighten out my nose while I was there in sort of the sideline, which I'm glad he didn't tell me he was doing. He just kind of grabbed my nose and pulled down on it because they have to reset it so it stops bleeding. Otherwise, it just keeps bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. And yeah, I still sort of, to this day, I think the last parts of my nose still haven't quite been collected from the top of 50 at Icon Park. So if you ever do play there, just be careful. There's a bit of me that's just in the top of that 50 there. So shout out to Jess Hosking though, because I did get a number of surgeries to try and fix my nose. Sort of combine that a little bit with some rhinoplasty, get it nice and straight and a beautiful nose out of it. But yeah, I think it's been about 4 or 5 surgeries to get it to where it is now, and luckily I've finished playing, so it should be okay from now on.
Yeah, I think there's just one rule in AFLW, it's just no touching of the face. Yes. It's like when it's the face, it's just like, it's a whole different level.
Yeah.
My scary story now isn't probably as scary, but it's in Marvel Stadium. It was my first year of AFLW, and I had this mindset where I was like, in Ireland, if you go off with an injury, you're considered soft, so it's always like play through it, resilience. This is what we talk about all the time.
Sounds classic Irish.
Sounds very classic Irish. So anyway, my shoulder rolled out, and I was like, oh my god, and I like, it could hear
rolled out, it dislocated.
Dislocated.
Okay.
And then I could nearly almost hear it roll back in. It was like squeaking noise. And anyway, I kind of was like, I'll just play on, I'll say nothing, no one saw that, forget that there's TV cameras all over the place. And then I remember our doctor at the time, Sam Harkins, being like, Rowe, your shoulders came out. And I was like, prove it. How do you know? I was like, it's gone, like it's sitting where it's supposed to sit now. And he was like, no, come off. And he was like, but I was like, he can't prove it until he gets the scan. So I was trying to play through it, but like to my subconscious mind, I was like running like this, but I thought that I was okay.
You were completely
fine.
So
anyway, I tried to play through it, and that was the rest of the game I was just terrible. So like, as you said, you played on the game after that as well. It's like, why do we do these things to ourselves?
Not entirely sure, but there has been some scary injuries over the weekend, which is really unfortunate considering the timing, and to some of our real warriors out there. Obviously, Hosco, our love goes out to her. Horrible injury. She's been battling a hamstring injury for a whole lot of sort of her AFLW career, and it was just really sad to see her go down on the weekend in the fashion that she did. I was commentating the game, and you could just see it straight away that she wasn't in a good way. So we're wishing her all the best and a really quick recovery. Also, Steph Wales, it's been confirmed, the ruck from Essendon has gone down with an ACL injury, which is just horrible considering the season she was having, and Essendon's still a chance to make finals. And then there's also a couple of other question marks around players. Daisy Darcy from the Gold Coast with her knee, and Bianca Jacobson with her knee from St Kilda. So we're really hoping that all of those girls get some really good news with their scans, and if it is the worst outcome, then we send you all the love from the family at Tagged as well.
Yeah, it's a really hard time of the year as well. Like you said, it's teams coming into finals, the pressure's on, and speaking of it being the end of the season, obviously it's our last round with Collingwood this week, which feels like a weird thought to think that next week you go out of structure, out of routine. And I think as athletes we thrive in that space where we're in routine, and we're kind of probably all wondering, like, what do we do next, and how do we prepare, and when's the next season dates, and all those things. So it's always a really funny time for players in terms of injuries, in terms of finals, in terms of pressure of contracts. There's so many things always going on within the four walls. But yeah, it's crazy to think that we're in the last week of our season.
And for your time at Collingwood, is this one of the few seasons where you've known what the end date will be?
Yeah, I think so. Last year we were still in contention for finals. The previous 3 to 4 years we were in finals. So this is the first time where we've played the last essentially 2 to 3 games where you're like, you don't have a chance. So you have to change your focus and narrow it into something other than, I suppose, win. Obviously you go out to win every game, but you have to narrow it to be like, right, what are we trying to achieve? What are individuals trying to achieve, and how can we get better in these couple of weeks that it holds us in good stead for next season?
And how has the season been? Obviously brand new coach down there, and I guess for Sam a lot of it's probably played out not quite the way he expected, and that's not just sort of on wins and losses. It's also a lot of the injuries that the girls have experienced down there. You've had times where you've had a pretty unhealthy list, you've played train-ons. It must have been a tough season for him and for you personally.
Yeah, definitely. You just have to find the silver linings, I think, in things like this, and try find the way you can focus and how you can improve, because you could focus on all those things, but really sometimes you go, well, we can't use those as excuses either. We just need to find ways to get better. So every week we just kind of keep going back to the drawing board and trying to find out where our system is improving, where it's not, and what we need to work on. So that's been our focuses the last couple of weeks.
And we do love talking to you, and it's not all about you though, so let's get on to some other games. My favourite game from the weekend, Rowe, was Dreamtime up in Darwin, and our very own Hosco was playing in that game, and there was 4,400 people up in the Northern Territory. It was the greatest spectacle. It ended up in a draw, which somehow felt really fitting. The first ever Dreamtime game ends in a draw, but for me, that was my game of the week. What about yourself from last week? What sort of, obviously your game, I thought you guys were going to get the win over your arch rivals in Carlton. And
yeah, well, we just said we weren't going to talk about me, so we're going to move swiftly along.
Don't tell me anything about that one.
So whatever, that game is over. So my game of the week is definitely, I think, the North Adelaide game. That was the one I had my eyes peeled for. I was so interested as to how both teams would set up, and obviously North, I think in the end outsmarted Adelaide, but that was a really good contest. So that was definitely my game of the week.
Definitely made them more of their opportunities, really, North, and that's what got them the win in the end, and that's what they've been able to do all season essentially. Yeah,
definitely. And I think going into round 10 this week, something that I'm definitely going to be keeping a keen eye on as well is Geelong Adelaide. Geelong Adelaide. Adelaide have been so great all season, but also Geelong have been that nearly team, but are coming good again. And like, you look at Ash Maloney scoring 6 goals last week. She was absolutely outstanding. And if she continues that form this week and they've put it up to the best teams, I think that there could be a real opportunity for them. I'd love to see them get into the top 8.
Yeah, if they do sneak into the top 8, I think that they'd be everyone's sort of least favourite opponent to line up on in finals, because they're going to be formidable. They have sort of worked out during the season what their best balance is with a lot of injuries. They've got Amy McDonald back through that midfield now. So I see that them, if they do make finals, having the ability to go quite deep into finals, which is crazy considering they're entering the last round sort of outside the 8. So they obviously need some results to go their way, but the first thing they need to happen is to win the game on Friday night. So in essentially somewhat destiny's in their own hands on Friday night, and then relying on results after that. But the game I'm looking forward to is Hawthorn and Richmond. Yep. So Hawthorn, just $1 million to play
on the
for.
line.
If you don't need anything else, there's also $1 million. And I think North should get the job done against the Suns, but should they not, Hawthorn could actually win the minor premiership as well if they win that game. So a lot on the line with the McClellan Trophy. And if they don't win and Brisbane win the game before against the Saints, then the Lions win the $1 million for the McClellan Trophy. So
it almost feels fitting that Brisbane should win it. Like we spoke about, it's like the men's have done so well over the last couple of years and they've been such a consistent club. But yeah, Hawks are very much in the running for it at the moment.
So if you're looking forward to round 10, the most exciting thing that we can tell you is 8 out of the 9 games are live. So there's repercussions all through the ladder, depending on finishing positions or even the top 8. So it's going to be a fantastic round of AFLW football. So make sure you tune in. And of course, Hawthorn playing for $1 million on Sunday afternoon. After this, we will be back with Akec Makur Chuot, our special guest. Today's guest is a much-loved member of the Tag family. She joins us almost a year to the day from retiring from AFLW, where she played 40 games across 6 seasons. And to say that she's been busy, it's a bit of an understatement. She's the 2024 Amari Gala Trailblazer of the Year, a broadcaster, content creator, motivational speaker, and a good friend of both of ours. Akec Makur Chuot, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Crew.
And now, I do say that you're a good friend of both of ours, but word on the street is that you two have actually never met. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think this falls back to our friend who's in the middle,
Rude.
Anya McDonough. So you've been friends with Anya for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been friends with Anya since she came to the Hawks, and I always went to Anya. Are you going to introduce me to Rowe, because I just see her everywhere, but I've never actually met her.
I was the same, and you were coming here today, and I was like, I know her, like I know loads about you. So I have your whole background story, but I have never met you. So here we are.
One thing you might not know about Rowe is that she always does dress like this. So,
Yeah, so I'm in a
whilst
really
I'm in
character
Halloween
today.
character, she actually always just wears this on the podcast. So.
Yeah, and I've seen it. I've seen it with Anya's shown me pictures.
Yeah.
Beautiful pictures too. So
What
yeah,
kind
I'm
of
just glad we
pictures?
got to meet today in your beautiful pink bubblegum Barbie attire.
Well, yeah, Barbie from Texas.
Cowgirl?
Yeah, cowgirl from Texas. And I thought you were going to dress as Ken today, and then we were going to be an item. But anyway, that didn't go to plan.
I missed the memo, unfortunately. Yeah, who do we get to question about this? Anya again?
Yeah, Anya.
we'll blame Anya.
Anya. We'll blame Anya. So, Ketchy, obviously you finished AFLW. Tell us, what have you been missing since you finished?
I think what I really missed since I finished is that the teammates that you were so used to seeing all the time. You always you're so used to seeing people. Like, I don't get to see Anya as much anymore because obviously she's busy.
Yeah.
But it was good that I got to, spend that time with the crew down at the Hawks. And I think that's what I missed, just that team environment and a bit of structure because my life is quite chaotic and I have like 4 different events daily. And so I have to try and find a way to kind of like motivate myself and really put some structures around myself. But that really goes out of the window quickly when couch is involved. So I'm a bit of a couch potato. And I love it. I love couch surfing. But I think that's what I really just miss. And the fans, obviously, the AFLW fans are very special people. So I definitely miss those guys.
It's a bit like when you finish school and like everything that you don't need to plan to socialise. It's the same as when you're playing footy.
Yeah.
Like, there's no real socialising. It all just happens really naturally. You'll be at the club and you'll finish training and, oh, what are you guys up to? Oh, we'll go get a coffee, or let's all have lunch together, or you will eat lunch together as part of the training program. So it's that natural little bit of footy or socialising that you don't have to plan, that kind of just disappears in your life when you finish playing.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk about how you miss the fans as well, but the fans still have access to you with being on the boundary with Channel 7 at the moment. How's that been?
Yeah, it's been really cool. I think, getting into the media landscape was another opportunity, not only just to, to I guess keep speaking on behalf of the players. And I think that's what we get to do. Like, the players are playing out there, but now we've been in their shoes. It's a bit different when you're speaking as a former player. And it's really funny because I'll be sitting there and a fan from like Essendon or the Western Bulldog will come up to me and be like, "Hey, Akec, can I get a picture with you?" And I just sit there going, "Whoa, like this is." They didn't forget me. But that's really, really, really special, like that I get to interact with the fans from different clubs, not just only my old club, but like other different clubs. I've done a lot of North Melbourne games this year, so I've met a lot of those fans as well. And it's been awesome just seeing the different cohort and how empowered they are. Like, I had my real estate agent, who was a good friend of mine, with his daughters. They actually came down all the way from Melbourne to Ballarat on the weekend just to go and watch their beloved doggies, and it was awesome. They came up to me and I got a picture with them and got to chat for a bit, and those moments are what makes the AFLW so special, and that's why I will always be around it, I believe.
And when you're on the boundary, you're obviously pretty close to the action. At any point in the games that you've watched, have you had that feeling of FOMO? Like, have you been like, oh, I wish I'd still had the boots on, or that I was still playing? Have you felt that at all?
It's funny. Everyone asks me this. It's like the number one asked question. I am a very weird. Yeah, but it's a good question because I think a lot of people have, like, I don't have a fear of missing out. I've never had that. But there was one time where my, spoiling skills did come in. The ball did actually come. It was going to hit me and my person that sits next to me. And it was so funny. I literally just went and just banged it, and I was like, wow, I felt like I was playing again. And everyone was like, whoa, you should put on the boot and go back. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that.
Like, I'm sitting down, and I just went like this.
I'm just gonna sit here in my nice attire. I do not miss the tackling and the people jumping on top of you. My knees are about 42 years at the moment, and my back is about 52. So it's loving the fact that I'm just resting and giving it a break.
Yeah, and obviously you've watched so much footy as well, and you've literally been at the side of every field. But how have you found the growth in the game, or have you seen anything from the outside looking in?
The growth of the game, I think every year it just goes strength to strength, and I think the new addition of the women being able to train during the day, it's been really, and I know that was introduced last season. I really loved it, and the fact that they now get to do it longer and be like proper athlete, I think is really important. And I've really seen that from all the team. They're really, I think teams are really thriving with that type of that setup. And yeah, the skills have definitely they just keep going better. It's like when you give birth to a child, you don't just expect it to walk straight away. Like, the stages that you have to go through, and it's been awesome to see all the different stages from being involved in year one to now where the products it's at. It's exciting, and seeing all the speckies, the goals being kicked. Like, I just sit there with my mouth open and like, okay, lift it up, girl. Like, lift it up quickly, and it's just beautiful. Like, it just makes you a really excited fan. So.
And you've been so busy this year. Take us into sort of either a week in your life at the moment. It just seems hectic. It seems so, as you said before, chaotic, and you're super busy. What are some of the things you've been doing away from football this year? Take us through it.
Life outside football now it's been really fun, but it's quite isolated a lot as well, and there's a lot of peopling. Like, there's a lot of networking. A day in the life sometimes entails maybe like 3 or 4 different events that day. Sometimes I have to travel a lot as not only as a content creator. I do a lot of speaking engagements as well. I'm also at uni, so I'm also a uni student.
What are you studying?
Doing a Bachelor of Business, so with a double major. So I got about 6 more units left, so I'm just chipping away at it. And then on top of that, there's just so many different things that I do. So it's been quite different, but it's been really wholesome. I've also added modeling as part of the addition, which I don't think anybody needed me to add that, but I've just did that because
many strings to your bow.
Oh, you gotta be a hustler in these streets. The money are not gonna make themselves, and also the bills are not paying themselves. The sugar daddies are not coming. So Baby girl has to pay her own bills at this stage. So I made my runway debut with Orange Cube on Wednesday, which was actually just amazing, just being there. And then I got a campaign coming up with Sports Girl in November and in December. So yeah, so it's just different, and it's kind of like, and my amazing agency is just doing amazing things behind the scene to put me out there. So yeah, it's good.
So your runway debut, compare that to your football debut. How were you feeling? Were you nervous? Were you in control mainly? Like, was it scarier than playing footy? Were there more things that you could control or less that you could control?
I can't compare it to footy. Footy was a different ball game. I remember my debut at Witchin Oval, year one with Fremantle. That was next level. But yeah, compared to, I guess, the runway, everyone was nervous. I was like calming everyone. I was trying to hype everyone backstage. But yeah, it was awesome. It was just nice to kind of, the good news is that I was not wearing heels.
I was just going to ask that question.
I was not wearing those crazy stilettos. So I was like happy to be in flats and just really try and encourage everyone. And we had fun at the end.
Do you do a match review after? Do you watch the tape? Do you pick it apart? Do you work out your RFIs? No.
You know, it's funny, I actually never watched a single tape as a footballer. When I was playing in my playing days, I hated watching tape. I only just did my 5 things that I needed to do with my line coach. So yeah, I never watch anything back because I just
But
don't.
did you watch your runway debut back
No.
and pick it to pieces?
No, I didn't.
No.
Yeah, I just left it. I was like, while I'm editing it to post it on Instagram, I'll probably do that.
Well, Ketchy, that has been great to have you here today, and that brings us to the end of our show, where next week, and we'd actually like your advice on this, you could maybe come to the op shop with me, but Hosco and I have a deal where we have to go to the op shop and spend $50 on a Melbourne Cup Day outfit. So I could do with your help. You're a beauty queen like that.
I am the affordable queen fashion, the self-proclaimed affordable queen fashion girl, so I can help
So
you.
this week we're going to go shopping.
Yeah.
It's been great to have you, Ketchy.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Rowe, it is time for the tag list. Thanks to Victoria, every bit different. The tag list features our weekly recommendations from attractions to restaurants, film and TV shows. If we love it, we're tagging it. Rowe, what have you got for us this week?
So I'm putting together my off-season list at the moment. So I have a Chuka on my list, and I'm going to go on a cruise on a paddle steamer. Have you ever done that?
I have not.
Down the Murray River.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I feel like everywhere in Victoria has the Murray River. Like,
I know.
You go to so many different places and it's like, oh yeah, there's the Murray River.
Literally.
It's a beast. It's
I was
huge.
actually in Mildura this time last year, and I went down the Murray River on a cruise.
There
But
you
now
go.
I want to go to a different destination, and I believe there's a real feeling of history on that cruise, and it brings you back in time apparently.
Well, Echuca is only 2 hours and 40 minutes up the Calder Freeway, so it's a nice little road trip. I reckon that's a really good amount for
Yeah,
having
not
a
too
little
long.
road trip together. I'm going to keep it aquatic. The Wharf and Winery Cruise, which is a wonderful thing to do in Echuca. So we can start on the paddle steamer and then we'll head to the Wharf and Winery Cruise.
Couple of vinos, yeah.
Oh, yes. And have a very responsible but enjoyable
Of course.
afternoon. But yeah, well, that's our off-season set. Echuca first, and then plenty of other things to get through on our tag list as well. But that is all we have time for this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a fantastic show. And Rowe, it's been great to be with you.
Yeah, it's been great to have you, Kate. And if you're loving the show, why not give us a share on socials and make sure you're supporting the league by heading along to games. It's the last round of home and away seasons, so a lot at stake at the moment, and we're sending all our love to Hosco, and best of luck with her hammy, and goodbye for now.
Get ready for all things AFLW. Join myself, Sarah Black, Gemma Bastiani and Lucy Watkin on Credit to the Girls as we break down the latest AFLW results. Tune in Mondays and Wednesdays or listen as a podcast anywhere.